December 31st, 2033. That's the date circled in red on every politician's calendar in Washington. It's the day Social Security officially runs out of money to pay full benefits.
Kevin, that's less than 10 years away.
Yeah, Matt, on January 1st, 2034, which is 9 years from now, um, 67 million Americans will wake up to a 23% pay cut overnight without warning. And there's nothing, absolute nothing that anyone can do about it.
Yeah. Well, if folks listening to us are getting a warning.
There you go.
So share this with your friends. But a 23% cut, that's not a trim. That's financial devastation.
Yeah, so let's look at this. If you're getting $2,000 a month from Social Security today, you'll get $1,540 tomorrow. So if you're getting 3,000, it drops to $2,310. And it happens just like that, you know? So the government's going to essentially steal $460 to $690 from you every single month for the rest of your life.
And if you're listening right now thinking, they'll fix it before then, they won't. I promise you they won't.
Yeah, I'm Kevin Ross, and this is Plan Life Right, where we prepare for reality, not political promises. Today, we're going to talk about the Social Security crisis that Washington is desperately trying to hide from you.
Because the people who created this mess, they already have their own pensions. Welcome to Plan Life Right, the podcast that protects your family's financial future when everyone else is making empty promises. I'm Matt Floyd.
And I'm your host, Kevin Ross. Matt, before we dive deep into today's topic, I want to set the record straight about something.
What's that?
I'm not here to bash Social Security or scare people unnecessarily. I'm here to talk about mathematical reality. And the math is pretty clear. The Social Security Trust Fund will be depleted in 2034.
Well, Kevin, you've been studying this for over 15 years. This isn't political opinion. This is an actuarial fact.
Yeah, the Social Security trustees, which are appointed both by Republican and Democratic presidents, have been warning about this for decades now. It's not a secret, it's not a conspiracy, it's basic arithmetic.
So why isn't everyone talking about it?
Because politicians get elected by making promises, not by delivering hard truths. And the financial service industry makes more money managing your anxiety than solving your problems.
Well, we're different.
We are different because we believe in solutions, not hope. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to build your own pension, one that can't be cut, can't be means tested, and can't be touched, politicians.
Kevin, let's start with the basics. How did we even get here?
Great question, Matt. When Social Security was created in 1935, the average life expectancy was 61 years old. And the program was designed to support people for maybe 3 to 5 years after retirement.
But now, people are living to 80, 85, even 90.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We have people collecting benefits for 20, 25 years instead of 3 to 5 years. And here's the kicker. In 1945, there were 42 workers paying into the system for every retiree receiving benefits.
What do those numbers look like today?
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Yeah, right. It's pretty mind-boggling. Today, it's 2.8 workers per retiree, and by 2034, it'll be 2.3 workers per retiree.
So fewer people are paying in, more people are taking out, and they're taking out for longer periods.
Yeah, you got it. It's a demographic time bomb, and the fuse is almost burned out.
But Kevin, won't Congress just fix it? I mean, aren't they going to raise taxes on the rich or something like they always say?
Matt, they've had 20 years to fix it. Instead, they've just spent that time arguing about everything except the problem. And here's what the people don't understand. There's really no painless solution.
Well, what do you mean by that?
All right. So to fully fund Social Security without cuts, Congress would need to either raise payroll taxes by 27% or raise the full retirement age to 70 or eliminate the cap on taxable wages entirely.
And those are all political suicide.
Exactly. So instead, they'll do what politicians always do. They'll wait until a crisis hits, then they blame the previous administration and promise to, for studies of the problem.
But meanwhile, real people are out there suffering.
Yeah. So let me tell you a story about a lady named Dorothy. She's 72. She lives in Tampa, actually. And she gets $1,847 a month from Social Security. That's her entire income. She's never had a 401k. She never owned a business. She worked retail her whole life.
And she's done nothing wrong. So if you're out there in the same situation, you didn't do anything wrong either.
Yeah, Dorothy did everything she was supposed to do. Worked for 40 years, paid her taxes, trusted the system, and in 2034, her $1,847 will become $1,422. So she's going to lose $425 a month.
Which is, I mean, that's over $5,000 a year forever.
That's right. Yeah. And so let's imagine this. You're Dorothy here trying to figure out which bills to stop paying. Stop paying for your medications, or your groceries, your utilities, the mortgage.
You know, and that's heartbreaking. Those are hard choices, Kevin.
Yeah, and completely avoidable if Dorothy had known this was coming. If someone had shown her how to, build her own pension 20 years ago, she'd be fine today.
Well, Kevin, here's what I don't understand. You know, Social Security has been in trouble for decades. Why do people still depend on it so heavily?
It's because, what I call the institutional trust syndrome, Matt. It's where we've been conditioned to believe that the government will always take care of us.
Even when the math says they can't.
Right. So think about it. Every worker gets a social security statement showing their projected benefits. The government literally sends you a piece of paper saying, "Hey, when you retire, we'll pay you X dollars per month."
So people plan their entire retirement around those projections.
Yeah, right. But here's what the statement doesn't tell you. Those projections assume Congress will somehow find a way to pay the full benefits forever, despite the trust fund running dry.
So that's like a bank telling you your account balance without mentioning that they're bankrupt.
It's great. It's exactly it. And here's the realistic, insidious part. The longer people wait to address this, the fewer options they're going to have.
Why is that?
Because building alternative income streams takes time. So if you're 45, you've got 20 years to create your own pension. If you're 60, you have 7 years. If you're already retired and depending on Social Security,
You're in trouble.
yes, you're not in trouble, but your options are much more limited and way more expensive.
So what about people who say, I don't make enough money to save for retirement?
Yeah, I understand that struggle. Um, uh, here's what I tell you: you can't afford not to save for retirement because Social Security won't be enough, even if it stays at 100%.
So what do you mean about that?
So the maximum Social Security benefit for someone retiring at full retirement age in 2024 is $3,822 per month. That's if you earn the maximum taxable wages for 35 years.
So even if you maxed out Social Security, you're still getting less than $4,000 a month.
Yeah, and that's before the cuts. After 2034, that maximum benefit drops to about $2,940.
Can anyone live comfortably on $2,940
Yeah,
a month?
Matt, that's only $35,280 a year. In today's economy, remember that's the maximum benefit. The average retiree gets about $1,800 a month.
And after cuts, that's what, like 1,300 and change,
Right.
almost
Yeah.
1,400, maybe.
Yeah, so it's like 16,600 plus dollars a year. Try living on 16,000 and change,
I couldn't.
right? Possible.
Okay, Kevin, you have painted a pretty grim picture, but you mentioned building your own pension. How does that work?
That's a great question, Matt. So when I talk about building your own pension, I'm talking about creating guaranteed lifetime income that you control, not Congress, not the Social Security Administration, you.
All right, so give us the basics.
All right, so take a traditional pension that pays you a specific amount every month for life, regardless of market condition. The problem is most employers stopped offering pensions decades ago.
So we need to create our own.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing is, with today's financial products, you can often create a better pension than your grandfather ever had.
How so?
So your grandfather's pension died with him. If he passed away, your grandmother maybe got 50% of his benefits, if anything at all. And that pension we built today can provide income for both spouses with death benefits.
And sometimes additional benefits.
Exactly.
All right. So I'm listening. I'm sure these folks out here are also listening. What are the building blocks? I mean, where do you start? Kind of.
So there's really three main tools. You've got immediate annuities, or annuities that'll pay right away.
Mhm.
You've got deferred annuities, so you're going to let them grow for X amount of years.
Right.
And then you've got cash value life insurance.
That's my favorite.
That's right. I knew it would be.
So let's break down all three of those for the folks that aren't as knowledgeable on the subject as us.
Yeah. So an immediate annuity is like buying a pension from an insurance company. Okay. You're saying, look, I'm going to give you $100,000 and you're going to pay me income right now. Okay. So you're going to get that paycheck.
Right.
Um,
So if I give them $200,000 today, they might pay me like $1,000 a month for the rest of my life.
yeah, you give them 200, you're going to pay. That's exactly
Okay.
right. But again, it depends on your age and the current interest rates. So the key is that $1,000 comes every month, whether the stock market is up or down.
Right. It's that guarantee.
That's right.
But what about a deferred annuity?
Okay, so deferred annuities are for people who aren't ready to retire. So say you're 55 and you put money in it now and it grows tax deferred. And then when you do retire, 60, 65, 70, you turn on the lifetime income.
So you're building that pension over time.
Exactly. And here's where it gets interesting. Many of today's deferred annuities offer market upside without downside.
Well, how does that work?
So they typically they're linked to a stock market index like the S&P 500. That's the most common. And when the market goes up, you participate in those gains. And you lock in those gains, usually capped at, something in today's market like between 8 and 10% per year. And then when the market goes down, you don't lose any money. You get a zero. If it's down 30, you get a zero. Down 20, you get a zero. Down 2, you get a zero.
So you get market upside without any market risk.
Yeah, that's the idea. And then when you're ready to retire, you can convert that account value into guaranteed lifetime income.
And so I already know this because it's my favorite, but what about the life insurance piece? How does that work?
Yeah. So another option is the cash value life insurance, which I call it, the Swiss Army knife of retirement planning. So you get a life insurance. So what you do is you get the life insurance protection, you get tax deferred growth, and get this tax-free access to your money in retirement.
But I've heard life insurance is a bad investment.
Listen, term life insurance is a terrible investment
Yeah, that's
because
a bad purchase.
exactly
You don't get
it's
anything
not
back.
an investment; it's insurance. At 99%, just
They don't ever pay out.
don't ever
Yeah.
pay out because you buy it when you're 25 because it's cheap. Turn 65, and it's like
Where'd my life insurance go?
Yeah, where'd my life insurance? I'm not paying $4,000 a year for this, and why is it that much? I was $400 when I started. Well, it's because you're 65. You're more likely to die here in the next few years, so we're going to raise that up, even though you've been paying forever,
Right.
But permanent life insurance with cash value can be incredibly powerful, or uh, an incredible, powerful retirement tool when you design it correctly.
So can you give us an example of how all of this works together?
Sure. So you meet Tom and Sarah, and they're both 50 years old, both teachers. They realize that their state pension may not be enough and that they maybe can't totally count on Social Security.
And what did they do?
So what we did was we set up a three-part plan. First, they put $500 a month in a deferred annuity. And then second, Tom increases life insurance to a cash value policy. When I say increased, he now is paying more than he was doing on his term. And
But
then
he's getting something for his
he's
money
getting,
now, at
yeah,
least. Yeah.
he's growing that cash value. And then third, Sarah maxed out her 403B, but allocated it to options.
So how's that working out for him?
Well, 5 years later, their deferred annuities on track to provide $1,200 a month starting at age 65. And then Tom's life insurance will supplement that with tax-free income. And Sarah's 403B gives them some flexibility. So they could actually take that when they're getting closer to retirement or she retires and say, okay, we need to put this into an immediate annuity because we need more
Right.
income, or we can defer this for a few years and then turn on income.
Yeah,
or
but
just save
they at
for
least have the luxury of having options
exactly.
now. They're not, it's either this or that. They've got a whole array of options.
Right. Right.
And so they've essentially created their very own pension system.
Yeah, except they've created something that's really better than a traditional pension. They have guaranteed income, they've got growth potential, they have tax advantages and death benefits, and most importantly, they control it all.
Well, Kevin, I can already hear some listeners thinking this sounds complicated and expensive, maybe even too good to be true. How would you respond to that?
You know what's expensive, Matt? Running out of money at 78
Yeah.
and having to move in with your kids. That's a nightmare for everyone. You know what's complicated is trying to live on $1,386 a month after Social Security gets cut.
So this is actually the simple solution.
It's the certain solution. Social Security. You look at you look. Congress can fix. Congress could fix Social Security, but will they? And so you're relying on a maybe instead of taking control of your own financial future.
Yeah. So it doesn't even matter what Congress does or doesn't do because you've already
Yeah.
found a way out of that problem.
So whatever that Social Security check is, that's just bonus money.
Yeah.
Look at it that way. That's how you need to plan for that.
All right. I'm going to say it. That's the objection I get the most. So what about the people who say, I can get better returns in the stock market?
Yeah, maybe you can, Matt, but the pensions aren't about maximizing returns. They're about maximizing certainty, right? So when you're 75 years old, you don't want to worry about market volatility. You're taking money out of your accounts. Plus the market, if it moves down, say you're taking 5% out a year and the market's down 20, well, you didn't lose just 20%. You're still taking the 5.
Right.
The very next year, you're still taking 5%. Well, and if you're taking the same amount, you're actually taking a larger percent. It's a nightmare if you're living off the 75.
And it's about sleeping well at night too. That'll shorten your lifespan.
Yeah.
Worrying about your money. You might not run out of money because you only live 2 years freaking out about
Right.
it.
It's very true. And here's what people miss. You don't have to choose between growth and guarantees. You can have both.
Right. How do you do the growth and guarantees? I mean, I'm guessing it's not an all eggs in one basket.
Right.
Okay.
You cover your essential expenses with the guarantees. Okay.
That's your rent, your groceries, your
That's right.
insurance.
You know that's coming up.
Yeah, gas. Yeah.
Yeah. We can't stop eating. Still got to pay our rent or mortgage. Still going to have to get around town.
Right.
Still got to pay that electric bill that keeps going up. Right.
Exactly. So use guarantees for the essentials.
Yep. And then you can be aggressive as you want with your fund money. So you can let that ride a little bit. So when you know your basic needs are covered, you can afford to take more risk with surplus.
So what about liquidity? Don't annuities tie up your money? I hear that a lot.
Yeah, some do. And that's by design, right? The whole point is to prevent you from making emotional decisions when you're in retirement with your money.
What do you mean? Like, what's an emotional decision?
Okay, so let's go back to 2008, for example.
Oh, let's not.
Yeah, right. It still hurts. It's amazing that people have forgotten about it, and for me, it seems like just yesterday. But think about 2008. How many people panicked when and sold their retirement accounts at the worst possible time? With this pension style annuity, you can't make that mistake
because the money's locked up. It's protected.
It's protected. And you know that, hey, I hold this, I'm going to get X amount of income, guaranteed income. Sorry. So because the income's guaranteed, you're not worried about your account value because you're not depending on your account value. You're depending on your income stream. And remember, you're in an indexed annuity. You can't lose the value. So yeah, 2008, everybody in an indexed annuity got a big fat zero instead of down 30.
Right. But everybody with their money in the market lost 30%.
They're down 30. And then, it took them 7 years to get back to whole.
And I don't think there's a money guy out there that can say, I will guarantee you a positive return every year the market's up, and every year the market goes down, you'll never lose a penny. I don't think they can make that guarantee.
Well, Madoff did.
Yeah, if your financial guy's making you that promise, you are probably in a pyramid scheme. Contact a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's play devil's advocate here, because life happens fast.
Yep.
As you know. But what happens if you need a large sum of money for some type of emergency?
Yeah, that's why it's just one piece of the complete plan. You really need to do some comprehensive planning. You should have emergency funds, okay? That's kind of simple. You should have liquid investments,
Right.
so money in your checking and savings. And then you should have some guaranteed income. So that different money has different purposes, right?
So how much of someone's retirement should be guaranteed?
So here's the rule of thumb. Typically recommend covering, 70 to 80% of your essential expenses with guaranteed income. Okay. Everything above that can be growth oriented.
So if I need, $5,000 a month to cover all of my essentials, I'd want at least 4,000 of that guaranteed.
That's right. And remember, some of that might come from Social Security, even if it's reduced. So the question is, how much additional guaranteed income do you need to create?
Kevin, if someone's listening right now and thinking, I need to start building my own pension, I need to do it today, what should they do first?
First, calculate your Social Security benefits at ssa.gov. See what you're projected to receive at full retirement age.
And then what?
Reduce that number by 23%. That's your new reality after 2034. And then ask yourself, can you live on that?
Yeah, you might want to cut that number in half, actually.
Yeah, right?
Who knows? It could get worse before it gets better.
Right.
But I'm betting, once folks sit down and do that math, that's going to be a wake up call for a lot of people.
Yeah, good. It's wake up calls are what saves lives and retirements in this instance. The people who act on this information today will be the ones sleeping peacefully in 2034.
But what does someone do if they realize they are way behind?
Well, it's never too late to get started, but the later you start, the more aggressive you have to be. So a 35-year-old can build a pension gradually. A 60-year-old needs to move fast.
And what about the folks that are listening that are already retired?
All right. So if you're already retired and depending heavily on Social Security, you need professional help immediately. There are several strategies, but they're more complex and more expensive.
Where could people get that help?
Well, you can go to planliferight.com right now. We've created a Social Security impact calculator that shows exactly how the cuts will affect your specific situation.
And it's free?
Completely free. And you're going to see your current projected benefits, what they'll be after cuts, and most importantly, how much additional guaranteed income you need to maintain your lifestyle.
How long would that calculator be available?
We update it every quarter with the latest Social Security projections. And if you're listening to this when it first comes out, you'll have about 10 weeks before we refresh everything.
So people need to act now.
Matt, every month someone waits, their options get more expensive. Insurance rates go up with age. We just talked about that today.
Yeah.
Annuity payouts decrease. Time is literally money when it comes to building your own pension.
And 2034 isn't that far away.
No, it's going to be here like that. It's less than 10 years. And if you're 55 today, you'll be 65 when the cuts hit. If you're 45, you'll be 55. Right in the prime of your earning years, but with limited time to adjust.
Well, Kevin, this has been sobering, to say the least. Any final words for our listeners?
It's been a real buzzkill, huh? Matt, I've been in this business for over 25 years, and I've never been more concerned about the average American's retirement security.
And that's because of Social Security, right?
Social Security, inflation, which we've all just experienced that.
Right.
Nobody believed it. When we talked about inflations 2010 to 2020 when we had 1% rates on the 10-year. Nobody, yeah, whatever, inflation. And there was like 2 or 3 years there wasn't and then we get the hyperinflation with the last administration, and we all got to feel
Yeah.
what that feels like. And guess what? 3 years later, 2 years later, we're still feeling it.
Yeah. And there's nowhere to hide
Yeah,
from it.
there's nowhere to hide. We call it, in one of our class, we call it the silent thief in the night.
Right.
It's taking money from you every second of the day, right? So inflation's really serious. That's the one we have felt, and then we're like, well, it should be getting better. We're hearing on the news it's like 2.3% inflation. Yeah, but it's 2.3% on the hyperinflation we had the last couple of years.
Right.
So it's just building. It's not going down here. And then we got market volatility, which again,
It's been a year for that, for
yeah,
sure.
we've had some market volatility. And when you're in retirement and you're taking money, market volatility is not your friend. If you're 25, 35, who cares? You got time.
Yeah, it's
You
exciting.
don't.
I'm down 10%. I'm up 30%. That's awesome. But you don't want to be
More Bitcoin.
you don't want to be
Right.
down 10% in your brokerage account
Yeah.
when you're walking into
Yeah,
retirement.
exactly, right. Because you don't have the time horizon, right?
Right.
And then, I don't care what age you are, healthcare costs have just gotten ridiculous. So everything is working against the retiree here, right? But here's what gives me hope, that solutions do exist.
People just need to get out there and act on them.
Exactly. You can't control what happens in Washington. You can't control the stock market, but you can control how much guaranteed income you create for yourself.
So if you're ready to stop worrying about Congress and start building your own pension, go to planliferight.com, get the calculator, see your numbers, and take the first step toward independence. You might even be in the right spot right now. You might be perfect, but at least you'll have that peace of mind.
Yes. And remember, Social Security was never meant to be your retirement plan, even though most people do. It was meant to keep you out of poverty. You want to do better than that. You need to plan better than that.
Thanks for listening to Plan Life Right. I'm Matt Floyd.
And I'm Kevin Ross. Until next time, life happens fast. The question is, will you plan life right?
Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with anyone who's counting on Social Security for their retirement. They need to hear this. We will see you next week.